All right. Hey guys, today we're here with Bryce from Mother Tree. This is Let's Talk About It with Carolina High Life. We're going to get started. I'm going to ask Bryce some questions about concentrates. And thank you for coming today, Bryce.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
really enjoy it being here and sharing what I got.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came. So,
Excellent.
if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this industry.
Of course, of course. So I started when I was about late teens, early 20s. I helped start a farm. The owner was PhD, and I was new, and we started building out a farm. Had a hydro side, started mixing all our own nutrients, making our own soils. Had a market out in front.
Wow.
And then from there, I really just kind of expanded. When that was done, I started my own business, and we did a lot of edible landscaping and microgreens, tomatoes, cucumbers, service the high-end restaurants and things of that nature.
So, really into the farming.
Really into the farming. You know, my family has a farm that's been in my family for a couple hundred years here in North Carolina. And that was really kind of my big drive of bringing back the brand, bringing Mother Tree kind of into existence,
Yeah.
and kind of showing the world with what I did. And in 2016, I moved out to Colorado. I got hired by a dispensary to help run their facility. It was 300 lights. Wow. And pretty big. It was all organic and soil grown. We grew with BioViz and stuff on one of the largest scales they had. So after that, I left and I started doing CBD in the field. The first year we did like 4 acres. Next year we did like 10 and a half. And then the CBD bubble popped in some regard. And my buddy Brady Price really got me started into it, and really was.
Thank you, Brady.
Yeah, thanks, Brady. So from there, he started doing really good. In 2018, I got the highest test results in the country of field-grown CBD. We're at like 24%, which at the time was unheard of. Most people were
What
at
was
10.
the highest? Oh, around 10.
10 to 12 was average,
Wow.
But hitting like in the almost mid 20s, in the field outdoors was pretty phenomenal, and the genetics were great too. And then from there, the CBD market was from 2020 was really fishy and up and down, and so I started getting out of that. And based on that time, I never really got to see my family much, so I decided to move back to the East Coast. And
welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. All my family's here in our family farm, and then from there, I started working on building Mother Tree.
Wow.
So
I can tell you're very passionate about growing and flowers in this industry.
I am. I really can't wait to bring in some way the expertise and professionalism that the West Coast has had to the East Coast in some regard. We're many years behind everyone else. So it's only growing for sure.
People are gaining more knowledge about it on this side of the world.
For sure.
It's really exciting.
And I'm really excited to be a part of that and to have a cornerstone in the market per se. So Mother Tree, everybody and their mom really grows flower here in North Carolina. So I was like, well, how can I be different? How can I, separate myself from the rest? So obviously we're growing in soil. We're sun grown. We're all organic inputs. And with that too, I linked up with an extractor, and he's really good at what he does. He's local in here in North Carolina. And so I get all my stuff processed through him, and we do live concentrates. So live and non-live, and we're just trying to put out really good quality concentrates here in North Carolina. Nobody else is just doing concentrates.
No.
That I know of.
Find them
that I know of.
North Carolina based.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, I think you're one of the few that we know that are local.
Right.
A local vendor for this.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what a lot of people want to know is how is live resin made? There's so many different types of concentrates.
Right.
And we have customers coming in here all the time, like, what's the difference between live resin, distillate, batter? What are all the differences? What is it that you make? And can you kind of break down the process for us and help us understand it
For
a little
sure.
bit better.
For sure. I will do my best.
Yes. Especially
Yes.
for the live resin, since this is
Yes.
your bread and butter.
This is my bread and butter.
Yeah.
This is what we're known for. This is what we've
Mm-hmm.
been selling a lot of.
Yeah.
Really, live batters is kind of the thing that people know most about me.
Yeah.
I do some diamonds and sauce and things of that nature, but
Yeah.
I'm really trying to focus on the live batters as people do rosin and usually do cold cured batters and things like that.
Yeah.
So if they're not willing to pay that price point, you know, live batter is kind of the next tier down.
Okay.
So obviously with rosin, you're most of the time you are making bubble hash using pulling all the moisture out and then sifting it and then pressing it. A lot of times, because we're in a hemp market with THCA, that is really hard to accomplish and be compliant. So that's why.
How come?
Because of heat and pressure, really breaks the acidic bond on THC. So THCA is an acidic bond, and when you break that with heat or anything of hot material, you break that bond and it becomes uncompliant. So
as soon as it turns to THC.
It turns to THC. So really, at the end of the day, we're trying to stay obviously 100% compliant and trying to produce something that is shelf stable and things of that nature too. And that's why I believe hydrocarbon extraction, for that reason, has been really great for us. Do I love rosin? 100%. People who do good rosin, my favorite people. For what we do and large quantities, because we do a pretty good amount, it would be very difficult for us based on our facility to be able to do that much pressed products and things like that. So
just because of the nature of
just the nature. Some people have a lot of presses and have large farms.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys out in California, Turp Mansion and all those guys, I mean, they have multiple presses and they're just banging it out.
Constantly,
and I mean, for what they can do, they don't have to have a compliant THCA test. So if that becomes not the case, then obviously we're going to move into that as well, to have really a full spectrum. When you think of Mother Tree, I want people to think of concentrates in general, not just live batters or waxes or anything of that nature.
You just want it to be
concentrate driven,
which is great.
Yes, and just giving people really good, clean medicine that most people have to go out west to kind of find.
Yeah.
So
can't really find it much around here.
No, but going back to your question too, just like what the difference is and stuff of that nature too is, so with these live batters, we're fresh freezing everything with live batter and stuff like that, and then packing it into the machine while it's still.
Sorry, it smells so good. I don't know if you can see that.
And this lemon tart too. This one's my favorite. It's super potent with the citrus and stuff like that. But yeah, it's with the live batters, you're having to freeze the material first, and that's really what gives it its name, live batter. And then with other concentrates like waxes and shatter and things of that nature, most of those are just trim off of flour, and then it gets run through the machine and it comes out the other end.
Okay.
With diamonds, that is a process after the fact, and when you go to distillate and isolate and things like that, that's a distillation process past that. So you have to come to I guess it would be a raw base material, like crude oil, if you will. And then from there, you distill it, which you can then refine it down into more purity. And then from distillate, then you can go into an isolate form, which can be 99.9%, or at least high 90.
Stuff. What is
isolate? Is more like white powder.
White powder. Okay.
Yes.
We're getting the powders.
Yes, that's the purest stuff. Personally, I don't like it because it doesn't have the other cannabinoids. It's not a full spectrum product. With distillate, you can then add other products back into it after you distill it, and then you can have a full spectrum product. And things of that nature too. I really like the full complexity of the whole plant in oils and stuff. Really, I believe in, every science has shown us that having all the cannabinoids and terpenes in the plant is obviously the healthiest and best way to consume the plant.
Which makes sense because it's more natural that way.
Exactly.
We're not adding in different things, cutting it with stuff to get it to the point we need it to, right?
Exactly.
So we're cutting off the plant, right?
Yes.
We're freezing it.
Yes.
We're conserving all the terps and beautiful crystals and everything that we've got in there. Then we're taking it after that and we're pressing it.
That is for rosin.
That's
yes.
for rosin.
That's for rosin.
That's for rosin.
So for
resin,
we are then putting it into a meshed sock kind of material, which is a tubular sock. And then from there, we're going into a closed loop hydrocarbon extraction, which is not water.
Okay, what is it?
So we use solvents, butane, propane, things of that nature.
Okay.
So we do.
So how do we do this?
Okay, so this is the whole process from kind of start to finish. Yeah. So we are taking plant material. You can take dry or frozen, either one. We are packing it into socks. Then from socks, go into a long stainless steel cylindrical tube.
Okay.
Usually they can hold between 5 to 10 pounds to 15 pounds, just depending on how big the cylinder is. So you're really, most people that are doing it in a closed loop system commercially are doing it on, running, 10 plus pounds at a time.
Right.
And so with that, you're then taking cold compressed gas that's obviously liquid form, like when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a propane tank.
Okay.
That is in liquid form. Until you release it, it doesn't turn into a gas and vapor off.
Right.
So we have liquid mixes. Usually most people use some kind of extractors blend, which is a mix of propane and butane, or mostly propane and a little bit of butane, mostly butane, a little bit of propane. Let me correct myself. Or either or. You could do either or.
So it could be a mixture.
It could be a mixture. I personally like a mixture because you get certain things with other gases that you don't with others. Color or better terpenes or things of that nature too. Okay. So there is pros and cons to using both.
Okay.
And then from there, we're actually kind of showering the weed, if you will, or the hemp with this liquid. And we're keeping it super cold. We're putting it through chillers and getting it very, very cold.
Oh, what kind of chill? Like, is it just?
It's a liquid chiller, and they're very expensive, very high end.
Brother,
so you're running your liquid.
Very expensive.
Yeah. It's the whole systems are not cheap.
It all sounds expensive.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool and very unique way to do things.
Absolutely.
From there through the chiller, it goes and then showers over all the plant material, and then you suspend it in a liquid per se in your gas solvent. So after that, the plant material stays behind.
Okay.
The oil then comes through and goes into a collection tank. From there, we'll show on the reel too of it then coming out of the extractor and then it being a golden liquid, like liquid consistency. It looks like maybe like watered honey of some consistency, which it still has the solvents in it at that point.
Okay.
So as it comes out of the machine, it's still a soup mess.
So how much does the 5 to 10 pounds get you of this soup?
Just like we know, how good of a grower you are and how good your genetics are, obviously determine that.
Okay.
Some people on the low end are returning, maybe 7 to 10%. And, on a good day, we're doing, between 14 and 18%.
That's great.
Right.
But still.
So, really with quality flower, I mean, you can double your yields for sure. Especially a lot of this is all to get these type of terpenes and to get these high test results. We're using full buds. A lot of people are just using trim and sugar leaf and things of that nature, but we're doing.
That's why you guys are the best.
We try. Anybody who's doing really high-end concentrates are using the whole entire plant, the buds and all. And that's why usually live resin and rosin and things hold a premium because of the fact of how much and the quality in which the plant material. You can't just use, leftover trim that's been sitting there for 6 months and you're like, oh, I'll turn this into oil. You can. And you can make fine oil sometimes, but to have the best is a whole nother situation, a whole nother conversation, I guess, would be the case. So we have this big soupy mess that comes out of there. It still has solvents in it. We have to remove the solvents.
Okay.
Okay, so next step, we take it and we put it in a pressurized vacuum sealed oven.
Okay.
So from there, we are then drawing pressure off of it. So any gassing off uh, solvent will then be pulled out of the vacuum with the vacuum out of the oven, and then we're
Okay.
using temperature to agitate the oil to then help release it. So usually it's about a couple week
Oh
process.
my goodness.
Yes, it's slow and slow, especially
Slow and slow.
because yeah, low and slow, just like smoking meat.
Yeah.
In the South
Gotta
we know
smoke
that
those
one.
chirps,
Yeah,
baby.
and the thing is you want it for that long because
Yeah.
people who make shatter, turn the oven up real quick and boom. But making really terpy, beautiful oil like that, you got to keep it low and slow,
Mm.
and you want to purge it completely. So a lot of times, people are like, well, I don't smoke solvent hash because, it has solvents in it. And so I tell people that, we purge all our stuff more than we even should because of that fact. And the fact is if it's properly purged,
Mm-hmm.
it has less butane or propane than you lighting your bowl with a lighter. So
So you're
I
getting butane in there either way.
you are, but it's so negligible. So most people legally are can. I think it's like a couple thousand ppms, and I mean we test all the way down to literally almost nothing. So I know it's the industry, even the total out west ones, in my opinion, are is a little too liberal with that fact of just keeping too much solvent in. I
Oh,
think
really?
that it needs to be a little bit more purged, in my personal
And
opinion.
they do that to speed up the process, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
as quick as obviously the quicker you can get something to market, the quicker you're going to make money.
Yeah.
And some people don't care. Some people don't think it's that big of a deal, as you're getting more lighting your bowl of flour than you would be dabbing something like that. So
Yeah.
there's mixed reviews on that, but in my personal opinion, and based on what we do at Mother Tree, we purge it all the way, even if it takes a little bit more time.
Wow.
So
Okay.
at the end of the day, we're trying to give people clean medicine, just not medicine. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right.
So
It's
that's
better for your body the cleaner it
yeah.
is.
And so some of our patients have terminal illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
They mix it into alcohol and make something that they can make into a tincture or something
Yeah,
like
I
that
was gonna
too.
ask you, like,
Yeah.
how could somebody that isn't able to smoke,
Right.
how could they use something like this? And I guess it's like
Yeah.
you're saying into a
Yeah.
tincture
Into a
or
tincture or baking it into a fat soluble product, i.e.,
mm-hmm.
butter, coconut oil, or something of that. A lot of people make edibles
Yeah.
with that, especially if they don't want edibles that are distillate formed.
Mm-hmm.
They'll want something a little higher quality. People like out west will pay the extra money for rosin gummies or live resin gummies and things like that, and that obviously some people just won't ingest distillate, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not my favorite form of consuming, but it's a
Distillate.
part of the distillate. It's part of the industry and part of the process. And most people that have vape carts are using distillate and things of
Mm.
that nature, and then adding terpenes in. And
Oh
people are
yeah, the
wondering why,
added
man, this
terps.
doesn't really taste great. But that one I had that said live resin on it, man, that tasted great. And
Yeah.
it's really
Gosh.
different, but it's
And consumers are just so unaware
right.
of these things. They
Right.
don't know. They just think, okay, this is rosin, this is batter, this is resin. Sure, I'll get it, but they don't understand the back end of things that make it cheaper to make
Yes.
and in mass quantities and cheaper to
Right.
sell. So they're
Right.
just looking at it as this is cheaper, I'll go with this.
Right.
But really what you're getting is a lower quality product.
Totally. And some of these people who are selling and making distillate, which
Mm-hmm.
we don't make any distillate, they are using floor sweep. They're using nasty, old, moldy things. They're using things that they can refine out of it. Distillation, just like with high-end alcohol and spirits and things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
you can refine a lot of things out of it. And you can make it really pure with the absolute worst material humanly possible. So that's why, people that are conscious and do really good distillate, I mean, that's great. There's a market and there's a space for them. But
Mm-hmm.
people who, sell budget distillate and things of like that nature, I always have questions.
Yeah,
There's a lot of questions that come with that because
how is this really being made?
exactly.
What are you guys doing? What's your process?
It's generally the same process, but a lot of times you can see that with lower quality distillates, i.e. percentage wise. Usually the higher, really high end stuff is usually made better, but your lower testing stuff is usually the lowest thing possible, and they're just trying to put something on the shelf because you can filter it, if you would, so many times that you can really you know, like you said before off air, it was what was it, lipstick on a pig kind of thing.
Putting
Yeah,
lipstick on a pig.
exactly. It's the same kind of concept, but with extracts. And until people really are aware about what they're buying and what they're putting into their body, they'll just say, "Hey, look, it's a lower price point. It's cheaper, so why not?"
It'll do the same thing.
Yeah, but
which is fine if you can't afford more, but
totally.
At the same time, we don't really know the long-term effects of these things
of
going
smoking
into our bodies.
Right.
Smoking it, of eating it, however you choose to use it
right.
in your body.
Right.
Whereas this, we kind of had more, because this is pretty much as natural as you can get it. We have more research on that.
Yes. And so with this, a lot of people are like, well, I only smoke rosin. I have a friend that is like, I only smoke rosin. Yeah. I don't care how good resin it is. And I don't go by that point. Like, obviously the most natural process is obviously using zero solvents whatsoever, pressing it with using water and coldness, and then using pressure and heat to extract it. But a lot of these people there's a lot of people that make rosin now, but yet again, it's not always the best material.
No. Well, when just a regular, typical consumer is walking into one of these dispensaries or smoke shops, and they're looking to buy something like this, what are good things for them to look for when they're purchasing? If they want to get higher quality, they want to get something maybe middle grade, what's something to look for? Because sometimes these, like with this, it all looks the same. I mean, obviously smell can be different,
right,
but it's kind of hard in some of these shops to smell because they don't always let you do that. So
totally.
What are things to look for? Maybe poppy words, the COAs, those kinds of things.
Of course. I guess my advice and what I personally look for is looking for colors and tones and smells that you've seen and smelled in nature. A lot of these people are having CRC oil, which is a filtration device, which is then the same thing in this realm of putting lipstick on a pig. A lot of these things are bleach white, absolutely white. I mean, bleach white, and you smell them and they smell like, just chemically. They're grown in hydroponic solution, or they're really heavy salt based products.
Trust your receptors. Yeah,
please, please do. It goes a long way. So you're really looking for colors that you've seen in nature. Like even like this, if the camera can zoom in, this is pretty white, but there's still some blonde elements. There's still some yellow gold elements to it, which this is what is probably going to be the highest quality, but yet again, this is run the exact same way, and it's a little more gold. But each plant, just like with each smoke, will have different flavors, different consistencies. The actual oil itself in the plant will vary from plant to plant too. So just because we're running it the same exact way, we're going to get different results by each strain that we run.
Yeah, because that's the great thing about this is they are strain specific.
Right, exactly.
Whereas distillate is not.
No.
And that's what majority of edibles, at least in this side of the world now, are made with, because it's cheaper, it's easier, the taste is maskable.
Yeah.
But these are more strain specific, so it should be all from the same.
Right. And I guess that's what you're looking for too, to kind of piggyback on that, is like a lot of these distillates or a lot of these vape carts and things of like that are distillate, and then they'll add strain specific terps to those. So that's where people are like, well, I get all this variety and all those things. Well, you can put any terps on top of any distillate, but you're still going to have your backbone of your product is still going to be distillate.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my only thing. I guess that's how they mask it. But looking for products that are non-distillated and that are strain specific with the terpenes in naturally in them. A lot of times with diamonds and sauce and things like
Yeah.
that.
Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so diamonds and sauce is pretty much the same process as this, but
Okay.
we're letting the THC crash out of the actual liquid itself.
Hmm.
So when it starts to crash out, we start whipping it. And that's how we get this beautiful battering form because we're manipulating it and then popping it back in the oven. But with diamonds and sauce, we're taking the same kind of, well, it has to be usually high enough quality because of that fact, but we are letting all of the THC crash out of it, and then it coagulates into crystallized forms. And then we're pouring off the top layer and then keeping the diamonds and then separating it. And then you can add in the terpenes and other cannabinoids and stuff that separate from that back to it.
Okay.
So it's a
just from the
two-step.
same plant.
It
It's
is.
just separating and then re-adding so that you
And
get that look.
and some people don't. Some people like if I crystallize something, like I'll whip it, I'll let it crystallize and then keep it all in the same ratio. Because some people will pull it out and do very little terpenes because obviously they're worth a lot more than just crystallized THC.
Right.
So a lot of these people are, buying really high-end terps and then buying really, cheap crystals and then adding this together. It's the same kind of thing as the distillate.
It.
Yeah, it's a watering down version of the plant. So that's really the big thing with these really high-end products is that you're keeping everything all in one. Mm-hmm. You're consuming the whole entire plant all at once. You're not getting and these batters smoke out way better than diamonds and sauce normally. Do I have to say some people do it really good, and do they have great mixes and they overcompensate a little bit with terpenes? Sometimes 100%. Sure. But in my opinion, a lot of the diamonds and sauce that I had in my life, I don't particularly smoke it, but if somebody is very please try my product kind of thing, I will. But that's really the things that I've gleaned. It's a lot harsher on the back of your throat.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the smoke difference between this and the diamonds?
It'll be a lot smoother smoke.
Smoother smoke with this versus the diamonds.
It will, because in some regards you're not hitting a huge crystal of THC, and then the terpenes are rolling off the top and then hitting the heat source, and then people that whip their diamonds good and things like that, normally you're getting a pretty precise one, but a lot of times gramming it all out, sometimes you get a big piece of crystal, and sometimes you get a little bit more terpenes, and sometimes a little more terpenes and a little more crystal, and it's just not a balance.
A great ratio.
To me, it's not a naturally balanced process, and that's yet again why I'm kind of passionate about the batter. And
because you are crystallizing something and then trying to smoke it, which I feel like just in any form is harsher on you.
It is.
No matter how wet it might be.
For sure. And, some of the diamonds and stuff that we do, based on how it's grown and stuff, that's harshness and all those things. I personally think that our diamonds smoke out great.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter, like the higher quality, does it matter the higher quality flower when you are making the diamonds? As far as how harsh it is when it smokes, or is it just going to be harsh regardless?
Well, you can't really make diamonds and sauce unless you have high-end plant material.
You just have to. So it's going to be.
Yeah. So sometimes it won't really crystallize if you're doing a trim run or something like that. You got to do a full bud run dry, or you have to do fresh frozen.
Wow.
In my personal opinion, and what we've kind of experienced at the lab and things of that nature, is you got to have that kind of quality, or at least a good, terpenes are a subjective thing, but you have to have at least a certain amount, I guess. I'm trying to figure out how I would describe it, but it just needs to be a quality amount. With some of the trim and stuff like that, it's really hard to get that kind of concentration to get everything crystallized.
That makes sense. It's just not going to come out as great.
It's not. It really takes that real full plant process and really high concentrations of THC and things like that to have that kind of crystallization, even naturally too. I mean, some plants will want to crash out even if you whip. It's just
really?
yeah. There's all kinds of different. Every resin kind of want to do different thing, and you have to kind of manipulate. Some, batters, will be super like syrupy, and some will be a little more waxy, and have different consistencies and things like that. So
these are living beings.
It is
each plant.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same strain, each plant can be totally different in their own way, right?
Exactly.
And what they want to do.
So at the lab that I work with, we collect data on every single strain we run.
Wow.
So that when we go back to run it again, we have data points so that we know what we're doing. Beautiful. And can do it better and things of that nature too.
Just keep reworking it.
Exactly.
To how it is.
And if we, sorry to interrupt, but if we just absolutely crush it the first time, we want to try to replicate that.
Absolutely.
So, and a lot of those factors, collecting data with all this, it's, and also this process is pretty dangerous too. Working with solvents.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, working with solvents, it can be dangerous.
Right. You just
having a proper lab and a C1D1 and all these things, that especially explosion-proof exhaust fans and all these filtration devices and sensors out the wazoo, very, very sensitive. I mean,
a dangerous job.
Yes, it can be. But having all these sensors in place and things like that really takes a lot of the fear out of it. As back, I don't know. I mean, people started extracting maybe in 2009, 10, 11, 13.
This has not been going on very long.
It hasn't really been. This whole solvent.
20 years yet.
Not even 20 years really yet. I mean, maybe some people that I have no idea about were, but everything was scissor hash and bubble hash and things of that nature.
I feel like dabs were even just starting to get popular maybe around 2012.
Right. Yeah. That's when that was the real big push. That was like, oh my gosh, there's something here, you know, and there's market share here, and now we're seeing like on the West Coast, some people don't smoke flower at all. They just smoke concentrates. And there's a huge portion of the market that is just smoking concentrates.
Right.
And me personally, like I like to smoke, good flower, but I would say 90 to 95% of my cannabis use is all oil and extracts.
Well, speaking of smoking it, for our customers that come in and they don't know what the hell to do with this, they want to smoke it.
Yes.
We talked about not smoking it, but they want to smoke this. How do you smoke it?
So, I personally smoke it 2 ways. Actually, I'll take that back. I smoke it 3 ways.
Okay.
So the first one is I smoke it on a quartz banger, which you heat up with usually a torch of some kind.
And a banger is an attachment for your bong.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is a kind of, most people have kind of a cupped version, and so you're torching the bottom and then you're putting the oil inside of it, and then there's a cap usually that goes on side or some kind of airflow device of some kind, and then you're heating up something and inhaling with the torch, and then it reaches a certain temp. Most of the time people, if they're really in and want perfect dabs, they'll temperature gauge the thing. So you're trying to hit a specific temperature so that you get all the benefits and you don't burn anything, and you're not inhaling just burn smoke. Because everybody wants tasty. Everybody wants as tasty as it possibly gets.
Absolutely.
So hitting those right temperature points and different temperatures for different oils. Like my rosin, melt like water hash or anything, I'll hit it at a lot lower temperature than I will like my resin and things of that nature. So certain terpenes, with water hash, I like to, because it's so flavorful. If I get a really good gram or something like that, I want to enjoy that as much as possible. And I'll then, even if it's not, I didn't get all of it, I'll then go and reheat it again, just so I don't burn it.
That lower temp.
Because for me, like I'm a terpene farmer. Like I smoke this for the flavor of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All the potency and hitting, 80% naturally and over 80% is great. And people are like, oh, wow. But for me, it's like, if it doesn't taste good, like, I'm good.
You're on a hunt for
I
those
am.
terps,
I
the
am.
beautiful flavored
I
terps.
am. I
Goodness.
am.
Oh,
So that's
they are
really
wonderful.
most people who are into the live resins and wanting to smoke for the flavor. Those are the people who are coming in saying, do you have a live product? Do you have a rosin product?
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the flavor of all these things. And then,
Yes.
when you get strain specific, people say, hey, I really like the OGs. I really like the fruity stuff. I
Yeah.
really like whatever the case
The
may be.
gassy
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the
yeah.
buttery or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Absolutely.
everybody teach their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
So, other than a banger, is there an easier way
Yes.
for people to
So
smoke
the
it?
second way is this is, I guess, a plug for Puffco, but I really,
Hit you up, Puffco.
yo, Puffco. Uh, yeah, for real. I like Puffco's products a lot.
Yes.
They're number one in the industry, in my opinion. They
They're
have a
pretty
lot.
easy to
They're
use.
pretty easy to
Yeah.
use. They're pretty awesome. Like I have my Puffco and I'll plug it in on the go and I can dab on the road or when I get to a buddy's house
Yeah.
or something like that too. So the portable aspect. Then now they have the Sherlock thing. They got the whole pens that you can load. I think it's they have the Plus and then the one that's a little bit bigger. Sorry, I don't know the names, but they work great.
We'll add them in here.
Yeah, we'll add them in. But all Peaks products work really good. They're all temperature sensitive, and I know their highest end one. I think it's like $400 and something dollars.
They're a little pricey.
They are pricey. It's like
it.
$80 to about $420. That's like kind of the price point you can start to finish.
And with bangers, they're glass. They're made of glass, so it's
most
of them.
No, they are actually gosh, wow, quartz.
Oh, you said quartz.
Yes,
That's
sorry.
right.
I just had a little brain fart. No,
But
it's
they're
okay.
easier to break, whereas like
They are.
a Puffco product, they are a lot more malleable.
Oh, of course.
And don't break as easily. And they're a little more
potentially.
It just
and you don't have to use any fire. Like
Right,
you don't have to
that's true.
accidentally burn yourself. You don't
Yeah,
have like something you accidentally knock. Most of all your
Yep.
quartz is attached to a nice piece of glass, so it can
convenient.
that can get very expensive too. So you really have most people who are using quartz, smoking devices and really nice glass, or they go the Puffco route or some electronic route. Some people really like flat, and so this is the third point: is people who like to smoke flower on their bowl, their bong rip, whatever it is, packable, and then like a little bit just on the edge or right on the top too. I really like that. Like if I'm ever in a pinch and I don't have a rig or something, that's what I'll do.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. So it kind of enhances for the people who want a little extra out of their flower. Or it's been a long day or it's Friday and they're ready to party a little bit and they don't drink. It's like, concentrates are a great way to get where you want to go quicker. Get you there fast. 0 to 100.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the nice thing too. You don't have to smoke as much as well. People that have sensitive lungs and who have smoked flower for many years, a lot of people move over to oil. They take one big rip and it's equivalent to them smoking a whole blunt or a whole joint or something like that. You know what I mean?
That's perfect for our
heavy
smokers.
Exactly. And they want to get there quick too. I mean, it takes a while to puff through a whole blunt and things like that. And I have a lot of people too that put this inside, like they'll wipe it inside of their blunt wrap or their joint or something like that, and then roll their flower with it or something like that too.
Still getting it in
hash holes are a really big thing. I have one customer, shout out to him, that is has an injector, so they like pack the joints and then they inject the oil into the middle of the joint, and then they have hash holes. And they call them hash holes.
Yeah.
And out west, they're huge, and people spend a lot of money on them, especially if it's rosin and really high-end flower, and if it's organic and blah blah blah. There's a lot of different price points, and it's great to, if you're at a concert or you're out with your friends or something, and it's one thing with concentrate you can pass around, and everybody's like,
you're not having to pull out everything. To hit the dab or
whatever. And I personally like that when I go listen to music or something of that nature. If it's open air and people are smoking, the hash holes are a great way to get where you want to go and be able to share.
With everybody.
Exactly, and have
you'll actually be able to share it.
yeah. And sometimes, you go, and I find this with some people too, is you go and smoke with people, and some people's flower isn't up to par with what you're used to smoking, or something of that case too. And with the hash holes, I find it kind of evens the playing field between the people who, you could just take one hit, people that smoke just flower, and people who smoke concentrates. They take a couple big rips, and they're like, okay, I feel it, kind of. So it's
like a marriage of the two.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I think that's probably why they're becoming so popular in the market and things of that nature too. So
I agree. Maybe we'll get some in here someday.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, I think you've answered majority of my questions. Is there anything else you can think of that you'd like add? This has been super informational.
Come to Carolina High Life. You can pick up Mother Tree stuff here, and
come get your Mother Tree, man.
Come get some great flower. They carry really great flower and pre-rolls, and you guys got vapes and drinks.
We fill our own vape cards. Lots of drinks. Which is going to be fantastic this summer. So
nice.
Yeah.
So come stock up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me
You're
come.
amazing.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please come follow us on Instagram at Carolina_high_life. You can also find more from Bryce with Mother Tree at Mother Tree NC on Instagram. And you can also find all of his products on our website, www.carolinahighlifesbd.com. Thank you again, and we look forward to our next episode.